Hey David, wow here from another Eden Adventures. How are ya? Do you want a powerful support unit that can greatly improve your team's damage, alter the zones according to the weapon type you want, and heal your party's HP while restoring statuses? Do you want a guy on your side who can have long, bluish, greenish hair, tight white pants, and still look great? Maybe, just maybe, Claude ES is the king you need in your team right now, but there's much more to him. You might be surprised. Watch for some cool secrets. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you do, maybe one day you will be the king or queen of your local neighborhood.
And though it took me a while, I'm ready now.
The latest Apocrypha update introduced us to Claude's latest iteration, Claude Extra style, the king of Kelly Kale. If you're ever confused as to how to pronounce his kingdom, listen to Claude pronounce it himself.
Remember the name of Kelly Kale, Kelly Kale, Kelly Kale.
So, is Claude ES any good? I think the Another Eden team were very smart when they designed him, because in battle, he behaves just like a king. Like a good king, Claude ES is a unit that helps the team become as strong as they can be to conquer the opponent. On the surface, Claude ES is an earth/unit, which is different to Claude normal style and Claude another style, who are both wind piercing units. But this can all change based on his empathy skill. Let me explain. Claude's empathy skill replaces his basic attack and does a few interesting things. Firstly, empathy restores one unit's HP and MP. On top of that, empathy increases both Claude and the target's HP and MP to equal the sum of both characters' maximum HP and MP, which is pretty cool. But that's not all. Check what happens if you use Claude ES's other skill, Stratonike. Stratonike by itself deploys Dazzling Flash Dance, which puts your team in slash zone. But if you put empathy on a unit that has a spear equipped, for example, instead of going into a flash zone, your team will go into the spear's pierce zone. So you can do the same for blunt and so forth. Stratonike also permanently gives Claude ES this attribute called flexibility. With flexibility, Claude ES's attack style will permanently change to the unit he added empathy to. So in this example, Claude's slash attacks will turn into piercing attacks, which you can see here, where I used empathy on Alma to greatly increase her and Claude's HP and MP, and then I used Stratonike to switch the zone to a piercing zone. Remember though, empathy can only be used once in battle, so you need to have a bit of wisdom in your decision making. So when can this be useful? One way would be if you're fighting a super boss that's weak against a certain zone, like piercing zone, and you need one more piercing unit to do the trick. In this case, Claude ES is your man. But you don't always need to make things complicated and force Claude ES to change stance each time. Team Claude ES up with other sword users like Aldo, Surge, and Radius AS, and you've got yourself a powerful sword slash team thanks to his slash stance as well as his other support skills. Speaking of his support skills, there are a few that impress me. Let's start with Majesty Altina, which decreases the power, intelligence, and speed of all enemies by 30% for 5 turns, and at the same time increases the physical resistance of all party members by 30%. If you combine this with Radius AS's Overwhelm skill, which reduces power of enemies by 30% with a 3x max stack and gives a barrier to all party members with 70% damage reduction, you pretty much get an indestructible army. So Claude ES and Radius AS combo is perfect for fighting enemies with more physical attacks. Let's look at Majesty Ares, which increases the sword, axe, and katana damage of all allies by 50%. Depending on which ally has empathy, and increases the critical damage of all party members by 100% for 5 turns. Another skill that supports magic users a bit more is Karis Drakon, which increases the type attack of all party members by 50% and magical critical rate of all party members by 100%. This could be useful if you have a mix of weapon and staff users in the team, or if you just have a purely magic team. And if you're in another zone, Karis Drakon will apply chain hits on all party members for 5 turns. What are chain hits? Basically it means that your damage increases for every subsequent hit you do. How do you get into another zone? You can unlock it with one of Claude Extra's first skills, Octus Monada, or his final skill, Ediphos Monada. Ediphos Monada, I think, is a great representation of Claude's style of leadership. It destroys the enemy but supports his team. Ediphos Monada gives a 3x XL Earth Slash attack on all enemies and also restores all party members' HP by 50% and restores all statuses. On top of that, when the team is in any elemental or attack type stance, Ediphos Monada increases the strength, intelligence and speed of all party members by 30%, and not only that, you can stack this 3 times, baby. I swear this is the gift that keeps on giving, because once you use this skill, you also awaken another zone, which I mentioned earlier. Another zone doubles the damage multiplicators of zones to over 60% for attack, thunder, crystal, shade type zones, and to over 100% for fire, water, wind and earth type zones. And not only that, if your enemy is weak to crystal, it doubles the damage on weakness effect for crystal type zones. But the only annoying thing with another zone, as we've seen with other units, is that it is only activated for 2 turns and can only happen once per battle. So one team setup you can have is Claude ES, then Radius AS, makes everyone indestructible and can work as a pain setter, followed by crystal attackers Eva and Alma, who can benefit from the another zone. On turn 1, use Machebruktos to inflict break and bring Alma into an active crystal zone and Eva to go onto Lunatic. And here on turn 2, we can use Ediphos Monada to activate another zone, and then we'll use Ava's Glacial Veil to enhance crystal attacks and Alma's Brain Record to stack scope. So at the moment we're just setting everything up, making everyone as strong as can be. And then turn 3, we activate Karis Drakon to increase the team's magical critical rate by 100%. And then we'll have Ava use Glint Purge to reduce the enemy's crystal resistance and Alma go on Lunatic. And now all the chess pieces in place for us to absolutely obliterate. On turn 4, we go into another force and smash Ediphos Monada to stack the strength, intelligence and speed of party members. And then we have 999 million damage, 999,999,999 damage, baby. But this is just one strategy out of countless strategies you can come up with Claude ES. How will you use him in your fights? And do you think he is worthy of a king? Would you have him in your party? What do I think? I personally think that Claude ES is a fantastic support unit. Although he does have a 3x XL attack, and it is a pretty cool gimmick that he can change his attack type, I think his main strengths come from his support abilities, which in themselves require a bit of thought and strategy behind them to get the best combination of your moves for your team, because there are some limitations, and if you haven't maxed them out with light skill points, you're only limited to 3 skills. So you have to choose wisely, and you have to think of your whole team composition for you to really get the most out of him. I would love to know your thoughts on Claude ES. Have you pulled him? Will you pull him? How is he faring in your battles? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Love you all. See you with the next video.